Alright, good afternoon everyone. My name is Mark and today we're going to talk about the history of greyhounds. Alright, every dog is a lovable dog, even after hearing the history of them, such as pit bulls and other kind of vicious animals. But after today, after this speech, you'll want your very own greyhound. I can guarantee it. First things first, what else do you know about greyhounds, other than them being on buses and racing dogs? Well, like I said before, for myself, after researching them, I wanted to get my own. Main points today that we're going to cover is characteristics, the history of them, and where they are now. Characteristics. As you can see, we're going to talk about their personality, their size, and whatnot. Alright, let's start with the size. The size, they range from 2 feet and an inch to about 2 feet and 6 inches. That obviously depends on how well you exercise them and how much you feed them. They typically weigh 50 to 85 pounds. The male of the dogs actually weigh a little bit bigger. Depends on the brand, depends on the type of animal and breed. Next, we're going to talk about their personality. With the greyhounds, they are very, very friendly. They get along with every other kind of dog. They're very, very smart. They're not your typical walnut dogs. They have great overall health. Not a lot of vet bills you have to take them to. And they're easily trainable because nobody likes their dogs peeing in the house, pooping, chewing on drywall, etc. The cons of their personality is they have separation anxiety. This is where you'll get your flip-flops, your shoes, everything chewed into, which nobody likes. I know personally I've had dogs chew through power cords and they only do it once. They are very sensitive to cold. As their type of breed, they have very short hair. So in the wintertime you got to put them on a jacket, but luckily here in Florida it doesn't get cold. Another con is their lifespan is only 12 to 15 years. You're probably saying to yourself that's still a long time, but nobody wants to lose their trusty companion. What we're going to talk about next is actually the history of the greyhounds, and as you can see here, they actually were in hieroglyphics with ancient Egypt. All right, ancient Egypt. Like I said before, they were in the text with hieroglyphics. They were actually royalty dogs. Lots of pharaohs had them as their trusty companions for hunting and pretty much just being like house cats. They're very cat-like. Researchers have actually found mummified greyhound dogs that were actually locked in tombs with their pharaohs. And even the goddess Diana had made figures to resemble greyhounds that you've seen in that picture from before. Now we move on to the Middle Ages. The Middle Ages, they were still royalty dogs. Believe it or not, only people of noble power with the king's approval could own the dogs. They were used for hunting and other household tasks. It was actually a capital offense to kill a greyhound back in the day. And believe it or not, back in the Middle Ages, greyhound's life was actually valued more than the life of a human. That's pretty crazy. And again, the nobles, you had to be of noble power to actually breed the dogs as well. Into the Enlightenment Ages and the Industrial Ages, their life is no longer valued above humans, but they're still pretty valuable. They're still a premier symbol for hunting, hounds, and whatever else. And this is the beginning ages when they started becoming a sport dog, from hunting into racing. Next, we're going to talk about where they are now. Cute little guy. Racing. This is where everybody knows about greyhounds. Like I said, back in the Enlightenment Ages, this is where it began as a gentleman's sport. People betting, racing, beer. After some time, they became into like a working class where anyone and everyone could go. So most of the rich people kind of started going elsewhere. And as we know today, racing dogs were used for gambling. cons from racing. The dogs are trained very hard, and they normally don't get a lot of wiggle room. And that's all they're used for. If they don't make the cut, they don't win money, they lose races, they get tossed out like a dirty rag, unfortunately. There's actually a lot of adoption agencies where you can go to adopt a greyhound that normally get tossed out, because if they get tossed out or they get hurt, they normally euthanize them because nobody wants a hurt dog. And what else? Greyhounds have been around for over thousands of years. I hope you learned something from the greyhound that we discussed in this lesson. Greyhounds and many other dogs have ups and downs, but at least owning a greyhound, you'd be able to say that you're a nobleman. And that's all I have for today. This is Candace. This is Nick. Mr. and Mrs. Bell. And their lovely daughter, Caitlin.